So we're going to go through sound test of the unlubed and the lubed silent red. So here is the unlubed. You can kind of hear like the spring and scratchiness of it. All right, and then here is the lubed. You can't really hear it. You can't hear the spring anymore, which will make a difference. So today I'm lubing Susanna's switches. She's gonna have a cherry silent red. We're gonna lube each switch to build her new keyboard. So this is a switch. Inside the switch there's 4 components: top housing, bottom housing, the spring, and the stem, the leg hair. And we're gonna remove it with this tool here. This tool is going to be pushed to the bottom housing and push it down, and it'll pop right off. Then you have your top housing and your spring with the stem, and then your bottom housing that's stuck to this. You take that out. You're going to lube each component separately, and we're going to go through that. Alright, so once you have all your switch disassembled here, you're going to lube it. I'm going to use this Krytox 250G0. 250G0. It's a kind of like a buttery lube. It's one of my first lubes, so I'm going to use that. There's some like thick and thin lubes out there, but I don't have those yet. Always check the cap, because there's always going to be lube on the cap, and you don't really need much for the switch. So I'm just going to take a little, wet the brush here. Just going to wet the brush, and then paint the sides just so it's off of this. I don't need that much. And I'm going to start with the bottom housing. The bottom housing, you want to get where the rails are. So we're going to paint the rails. Get inside the little hole where the spring would sit. And then around the pole. And then all the flooring, all of the inside of the switch here. Yeah. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's just lightly lubed. You want to do that same thing for the top housing. Focus on where the rails would slide up and down the switch, and then just around the housing on the inside. For this stem here, just hold on to the plus sign so you can paint the outside. There's some tools you can use to hold it. It's like a grabber, like a jewelry grabber. Use that. I don't have that yet. But you want to paint the rails. Paint the rails, and this is, so since this is, and then the sides. So since this is a linear switch, we can paint the legs. The legs are those little hook-like things on the side here. See this right here? You want to paint those. But if it's a tactile switch, you don't really want to do that, because it could take away from that bumpy feel. But since this is linear, you can go ahead and paint those legs. Right, you have that. And then you just paint the spring. You just put it all around. And maybe the inside here. After that, you just piece it back together. So bottom housing. Put the spring in. Put the stem in. And you want the legs, the thing we were talking about earlier, the legs to go towards the back of the bottom housing where this leaf is, this gold thing here. That's called a leaf. You put it in there. You can feel it, but you just line it up Doesn't have to be perfect yet. You get your top housing. Make sure you put that on correctly, because if you bend the leaf, it's kind of hard to put it back. But I think for the cherries, these ones, the actual logo of the cherry on top of the top housing is where the leaf would be. So the leaf is the top, and the cherry logo would be the top for the top housing. Put it together. Make sure you don't bend the pins in the back, and you have your silent reds. You can't even hear anything.